unprecedented.
They were a matter of public record. Don't you think you're wrong, will you resign? Good evening and welcome to Our Town. I'm Adam Vaughan. Tonight we talk about what everyone's been talking about for the last couple of days in Toronto, the Air France Flight 358. Joining me to take your calls will be one of the passengers who snapped some of these photos you might have seen in your morning paper, and also tonight an airline safety specialist. But first, an update on the latest information on the astonishing events of yesterday from Marella Fernandez. She spent the day at Pearson and filed this story.
This was a terrible accident, and we're all intent on finding its causes and responding to protect the safety of travelers.
297 travelers and 12 crew members were on board Air France Flight 358 yesterday when the plane landed at Pearson International during a thunderstorm. The Airbus A340 overshot the runway by 200 meters, crash landing in a gully near Etobicoke Creek. Passengers say the plane seemed to come in low, but the touchdown felt fine. In fact, there was applause on landing. Applause cut short a few moments later when that plane careened off the runway. Emergency chutes were deployed, but it's unclear if all were working properly. Still, all 309 people were off the plane within 90 seconds.
The crew did a great job. I mean, they're trained to get the people off. We got there, kept the route clear from fire and smoke, and then moved in to help with the evacuation.
43 people suffered minor injuries getting to safety. 7 remain in hospital, but all are lucky. Moments after they escaped, the plane burst into flames.
When I first arrived on scene, there's heavy black smoke starting to come out of the aircraft, and the fires at the rear of the aircraft moving to the front.
First of all, Air France wants to express our solidarity to passengers and their relatives. I want you to know that the Air France staff is fully engaged in helping every one of our passengers who needs assistance.
The massive fire that decimated the plane took more than 12 hours to put out. From that burned-out wreckage, the Transportation Safety Board has pulled the data and voice recorders. Both could prove crucial in determining whether the plane was struck by lightning or if its landing was affected by high wind or heavy rain.
We'll have a number of people being brought in from all across the country with different specialties to, in fact, look at all the different potential aspects of this, including weather.
I want to assure Canadians that this government is committed to transportation safety, and Transport Canada will take all required action to respond to the findings of the Safety Board.
Officials say they don't know how long this investigation will take. It could be months before we know what happened to Flight 358. At Pearson International, Marella Fernandez, CP24.
Join me now, Eddie Ho, one of the very, very lucky Air France Flight 358 passengers. Obviously, you survived, as everyone else did, and as well, Viraf Kapadia, who's chairman and CEO of Star Navigation and an expert in the area of airline safety and in particular on-flight monitoring of airplanes. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Guess, Eddie, your story is the most extraordinary one, so we'll hear from it first. You were on an airplane.
Yes.
You were landing. What happened?
Well, basically what happened was the flight started, the captain announced that we're going to be delayed for 10-15 minutes due to showers on the ground and cloud cover. But from what we saw on the plane, there was hardly any cloud cover, and we were wondering why the captain was circling the plane. We circled once in the air for no apparent reason at all. But as soon as we started approaching Toronto, the clouds started building up. The plane started becoming extremely turbulent. And then, and basically you could feel that the pilot was trying to control fly the plane manually or something. You can feel that the engine is going on and off, on and off.
Were you nervous at that point?
Well, not really, because it felt like any other regular landing in rain. I mean, even at the first 10 seconds that we landed and the two wheels touched the ground, everyone was clapping, everyone was cheering. You know, we thought it was going to be fine, but after 10 seconds, basically all hell just broke loose from there. From there onwards, this plane started shaking violently. I was thrown around in my seat with my seatbelt on. I remember the ceiling fell off, some light settings fell off, some vents fell off, bags were falling off, people were screaming. The cabin just went dark, there was no electricity. And then it was just a whole bumpy ride all the way. It felt like a car accident, but it just kept going. You know, a car accident that's non-stop type of thing. You know, a car accident, it's only 1 second, but this is just, it kept going, and it just...
And then there's the thud, the stop.
And then basically, as we came to a complete stop, everyone was extremely worried. But the first announcement that we heard was that stay calm, the plane is fine, everything is fine, stay in your seats. And actually the first few seconds, people were calm. I mean, they didn't, I don't think, you know, they were that panicking, but as soon as we smelled the smoke and fire started coming rapidly towards us from the back, then people just started panicking. People were saying, get out, fire, fire, you know. People were climbing over seats. I remember there were people trying to get their hand luggages off the, and people were just saying, just leave it, get out, don't care about the hand luggage. And the flight attendant just says, jump out, get out, you know. It was just, you know, it was craziness.
There's
basically
a whole series of stories that flow from the moment the doors open to you arriving here with us tonight.
Yes.
And we also want to get to Viraf Kapadia and talk about some of the things that may have been able to be done to maintain flight safety all the way to the end of the runway with this flight. But we also want to get you at home in on this conversation. We'll get back to Eddie's story right after the commercial break. But get to your telephones if you've got questions for one of the passengers here tonight. Dial away. Here are the local numbers and how you can reach us. You can call 416-872-2724, or if you're calling from out of town, you can dial 1-888-863-2724. You can also reach us by email. We'll be right back to take your calls and talk about flight safety as well. Hear more from the amazing story from Eddie Ho. Don't go away. Welcome back to Our Town. Tonight we're talking about the Air France crash, and joining me is Eddie Ho, one of the passengers who survived the flight as well. We have Viraf Kapadia. We just heard Eddie's story about how the plane landed. We haven't got him out of the airplane yet, but Viraf, your company deals with in-flight sort of safety issues. What, from circling the airport to getting to the end of the runway, what could your company, or what could have been done, do you think, to prevent the trouble?
First of all, what we have to look at is what were the causes for this particular incident. The causes could be multiple causes. Weather was one of them, possibly. Then there was possibility of electrical or mechanical failures, maintenance issues. Then possibly human error. But one thing which Eddie mentioned, and the first passenger who stepped off the plane yesterday also mentioned, was they had a complete blackout after the plane landed. Possibly a possibility of a lightning strike. Now, everyone's been talking about everything. I've been on a couple of stations and talked about a few things. But one has to zone in. I'm sure the experts at TSB would definitely find the reasons for it. But we must give full credit to people and the emergency services. Eddie himself mentioned. They were there within 52 seconds.
Do you think there's anything that could have been done in the air to turn this thing around?
Again, if we found out that there was a possibility of electrical or maintenance issues or some sort of failure, yes, we could. Even human error, we could help out a little bit. But it all happened within seconds.
It's an act of God.
And with what was happening with the weather around the airport around that time, around at 4:03, there are possibilities of something called a microburst or a downburst. What a downburst is basically when you're flying with the plane coming into approach to land at a particular speed and you are coming into weather conditions like this, you will have headwinds coming in from there, from the front, and that's how normally you land. But there is something called a microburst, as I said,
flips around.
where what it does is it could be a wind shear. What it does, it's a reverse mushroom push down from air. What it does is actually, first of all, it lets your plane go up, and then it goes towards the back of your plane. When that happens, you are in a free fall because all the air under the plane has been swiped off.
That's where the planes bottom out very quickly.
Bottom out. But when we hear that the pilot landed or touched down 200 meters or 300 meters from the threshold, there is a possibility that he was trying to land and this microburst actually took him away and then he landed there. Could be a possibility.
All theories to you, but the reality was there you are in an airplane and all of a sudden you have to get out. We have a couple of callers on the line. Paul from Ajax is there. Paul, you'd like to ask Eddie or our other guest, Mr. Kapadia, a question?
Yes, please. I'd like to ask Eddie a question. I've just been viewing some of the news reports regarding what happened, and there was some mention of the way the flight attendants and the crew handled the situation. Can you maybe elaborate as to how they handled the situation? Because from what I understand on some of the reports that some of them say they were prepared, some of them say that they didn't have the proper training. Could you maybe elaborate?
Sure.
Well, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't have done a better job if I was in their position. They were the last off the plane. They made sure everyone got off before they got off themselves. And to risk your life like that, and with an explosion that's going to happen in any second soon, they could have done, they did the best type of thing. Now I've also heard reports about that, and I also heard or how they're supposed to go about saying, oh, take off your seat belts, put your heads on the chair. Nothing of that happened. But you see, the thing is, I don't even think the flight attendants knew what was going to happen until we went off the runway.
During the commercial break, we said the time it told you to tell the story about landing and coming to a stop was actually longer than the actual time it took to land and come to a
definitely.
stop.
I mean, it felt like, I don't know, there was no sense of time actually at all. It was just, you're just in it at all.
Have you had a chance to see any of the flight crew?
I was able to see a few of them. We were walking in the terminal back after immigrations, and I did see a couple of them there.
What did you say to them?
No, I didn't.
You just saw them?
I just saw them. I spoke to them, but there were police officers who said that no, we shouldn't speak to them until they give out the reports and stuff like that.
The investigation?
Yes, the investigation.
What would you say to them if you could talk to them?
Sorry?
What would you say to them if you could talk to them?
Well, I'm very grateful, a job well done, definitely.
It's funny, everybody survives and we have criticism. It's quite kind of interesting. In terms of what happened after you landed, what was your first instinct?
Well, basically after we landed, the first instinct was when we saw the fire, when we smelled the burning smell, basically. Just to get out of the plane as fast as possible. It's it's your life type of thing. Just get out, grab whatever you can. Just get out. You can't think for anything.
We've all
else.
been in airplanes, most of us, and we've all pulled out the safety card during the flight and looked at it and said, "Well, I'll never need that," and put it back. And had you studied it?
Well, being an airline enthusiast myself, I know quite a bit about airplanes as well. So. I knew what I was, what I was doing. But even the movie, the flight, the movie that they show at the front, it was very, very helpful as well. Definitely.
It stuck in your mind.
I mean, I'm sure it's stuck in everyone's mind especially if you're a frequent flyer type of thing.
So you're sitting in front of the wings.
Yeah. So basically, I was sitting at seat 16B, which is sort of on the left-hand side in front of the wings. It's more on the front of the economy class. Basically, there was 2 exits in front of me that I could have used on the left-hand side of the plane. Right. The first exit that I could have used.
So we have a picture up on the screen right now, actually.
Okay.
So you're in the light blue seats, just behind the dark blue seats.
Yes, that's right. The ones right over here, around this area over here. So basically, as soon as the plane crashed. The plane stopped. Everyone just went to the nearest exit. Naturally, for us, we were trying to push over our way to the front over here and come to the exit, which is around in this area. But what happened was the chute over here did not deploy. There was no slide there. I mean, the door was open, but you stand by the door and you look down, it's like 5 meters down, 4 or 5 meters down at least, I would say. It was like 2 stories high. And the flight attendants, they were saying, no, it's safe to jump, just jump, it's safe to jump. And there was actually a few ladies in front of the exit who were very hesitant to jump off. They were standing there, and I remember seeing on the ground there was actually a man holding his arms up, trying to reach for them. But then you can't push them out or anything, So I couldn't, wait. So
what did you do?
So instead of coming through this exit, which I was supposed to go through, I kept going. I ran through business class. By that time, when I walked through business class, there was not many, most of business class was evacuated already. Again, the flames were coming behind us apparently very quickly.
You could see the flames, not just the smoke. But
I heard from other passengers that the flames came around, started building up around row 30 where the wings were, and just started crawling across all the way.
And the flames were on the outside of the plane. They weren't on the inside. The smoke was on the inside, but there was no flame on the inside.
No, there was flames on the inside as well.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Definitely there was flames. I saw the red lights. It was all glowing. It was all dark, but it was glowing orange red at the back. It was very scary.
Okay, so you're now making your way through business class.
All right, so I was making my way through business class.
No flight attendants are sending you back.
No, definitely not at that time. I don't think so. Yeah, but there was another flight attendant here, and he was just pushing everyone out, supporting everyone. Apparently that's what they're supposed to do.
And it had deployed. This chute here had deployed.
This chute over here was only deployed halfway. It was sort of twisted or blown, or I don't know what. If you saw the Globe and Mail newspaper this morning, you could actually see it was not fully deployed. It was malfunction, whatever, and basically it was not that much better than this one, slightly better, but you still had to jump off and fall 4 or 5 meters high. And I remember when they're just basically people were just shoving behind us, trying to get out as fast as possible. I was just, I come out of here and then I jump off, but there was people on the ground who fell, so I fell on top of them. And there was another person.
You're a pretty big guy.
I know, yeah. But and there was another person that fell on top of me as well. And it was just craziness. There was also even people throwing out luggage, whatever. I don't know even what they're throwing out, just luggage and stuff like that. And it just, it was craziness.
Gotta take a commercial break. When we get back, we'll talk about your journey from outside the airplane to the terminal. We'll also ask about whether or not those ramps could have been deployed better and could have been maintained better. And of course, we want to get your telephone calls in, so don't go away. And if you got a telephone, you have a question for Eddie or for our other guest, Mr. Kapadia, don't hesitate to give us a shout. We'll be right back after this commercial break. You're watching Hour Town on Cable Pulse 24. Welcome back to CP24. You're watching Hour Town. My name is Adam Vaughan. Joining me tonight is Eddie Ho, one of the passengers on France Flight 358, as well aviation consultant Viraf Kapadia, chairman and CEO of Star Navigation. Before the break, we were talking about the chutes and the lack of deployment. Is that something which could have been a result of the accident, or could have been a result of maintenance?
It could be a result of maintenance, but remember, we are talking about an aircraft which literally thumped on the ground. It is possible, as he said in the break, that the door flung open, one of the other passengers said, and the chute might have been carried with the door.
Okay.
There is a possibility of malfunction as well.
Okay, we have Raj from Markham on the line. Raj, you want to get on this conversation? What would you like to ask our guest tonight?
I want to just comment, and I would like to say, Mr. Kapadia, Mr. Ho, I'm glad that you're full and alive, and every passenger and crew is alive. And I'm really thankful to God that you all are great in shape. And I think it was a miracle. You just passed by that, and it's excellent. And I hope you all have a great time. The only thing I'm kind of worried about, to be honest, is some people might end up going further and suing the Air France or the Transportation Agency of Toronto. And I don't think that's wise, because we should be thankful that we are alive, honestly, And that's the gift of God. And all I have to say is please stay away from suing anybody, because you should be thankful God's given us everything that we have, and we are alive.
Thanks very much, Raj. Obviously not a lawyer looking for work. Did you hear talk of lawsuits and of people who may be looking for lost luggage and lost...
Well, definitely people lost everything. I lost almost everything.
What were you carrying?
Oh, I've lost my computer, I lost my camera, I lost all my clothes that I was going to use for this year for university. I'm still wearing the same clothes that I was wearing during the crash yesterday.
So you need some compensation of some sort?
Oh, I believe, yeah, definitely some compensation. I won't be able to afford a new machine or new clothes or anything
you're
like
coming,
that.
I never even asked why you were coming to Toronto, just assumed you lived here.
Oh, yeah.
You're coming to do university?
Yes, I'm at Queen's University in Queen's School of Business in Kingston. I'm an international student here, and basically every summer I go back to South Africa where my family is, and basically I fly every year to and from.
So you need clothes, and in particular you need your computer back.
Oh, definitely. I need, at the Queen's School of Business, it's mandatory that you use laptops in the classes. I mean, with all the classes, the lecture notes and everything done via the computer. I mean, it's
classes start within a month.
Yeah, within a month.
So you need a computer within a month.
I mean,
I'm sure someone out there must be listening now who's got access to a computer. How? If we get any calls, we'll pass it along to you. So that thought of suing is not something which is in your mind.
Well,
compensation is.
Look, if Air France gives us a compensation, definitely has to be a reasonable amount. I'm not saying, I'm going to sue $1 million for psychiatry reasons or anything. Not like that. I wouldn't do anything like that at all. But, just to cover the things we lost, etc., because, it could be something that was prevented, that type of thing. Yeah. The pilot did have a choice to continue to fly or go to another airport or anything like that. But no, nothing as serious that I heard on the radio about a family trying to sue. But,
they'd consulted a lawyer because of the whole...
Well, you know what? They also suffered medical, problems. I mean, if you were in that position and you've lost almost everything, what would you do, type of thing?
Fair enough. Let's get Najit on the telephone. Najit, you there?
Yep.
Welcome to Our Town. You have a question for our guest tonight?
Yeah, I actually have a comment.
Sure.
First off, what a remarkable story. And I think that the survivors are unbelievably lucky. And my comment is that I've been hearing on the news that the pilots that they did a heroic job. And I was a little bit troubled because we don't know exactly what part the pilots played. Perhaps the air traffic controllers had conveyed to them the seriousness of the weather, and they just didn't listen for whatever reason. So I think that the passengers should take this seriously, because their lives were kind of played with, in my opinion. And, we have to make sure that if the pilots or the air traffic controller were at fault, that they're not slapped on the wrist, that this matter is taken seriously.
Okay, Najit, there's a great deal of speculation going on out there as to what the pilot might have done, the air traffic controllers, the mechanics. It is speculation, and it's important
Absolutely.
to underline that. And when you say that there's compensation and there's need for some sort of response, it's prudent to let the investigators do their job first before we actually take action of any sort.
I entirely agree with you that let's not jump to any conclusions. It is possible it's weather, it's possible it's maintenance issues. Let the TSB come up, and let's thank God that these guys are all alive.
Let's take another call. Jack from Toronto's on the line. Jack, you have a question or a comment you'd like to add to the table tonight?
Hey Eddie, how are you? I actually have a quick comment and a question.
Mm-hmm.
I guess every time you hear about things like this, it always happens to other people you don't know, or you see it on the movies, and half the time people don't listen to the flight attendants when they're telling you what to do in case of an emergency. So my question is, once it starts to happen and you landed on the ground, you seem very calm now, but, what went through your mind once you realized, how long did it take you to realize what had happened? And just to follow up on that, you think this will change the way you are, or the way other people are, all the other survivors? And I'll hold on the comment very quickly.
All right, thanks, Jack.
Well, you know, while we were waiting on the 401 for the buses to come, this is after we left and the plane exploded and everything, I was just thinking to myself, we only experienced a small portion of what the victims of September 11th experienced, what the victims of all other aircraft accidents experienced. The only thing is we made it out all alive, you know. And that definitely just was something really, I mean, I'm sure.
When did it hit you? So it hits you after you scramble,
you know,
up the
well,
embankment.
after you know that you're sort of safe, you got away from the explosion that possibly happened, you know, you just can't think until, you know, you're in a safe area type of thing. And
it's funny because
you start settling down.
At the start of the show, we talked about these photographs in one of the papers today. You took these photographs.
Yeah, I took those photographs.
So while you were escaping, you were thinking, I'm going to record this.
Sorry?
But while you were escaping the airplane, you thought, I'm going to document my escape. That's one of the things that went through your mind as you were leaving.
Well, no, not really.
We just started firing
I'm not
away.
I'm not like, you know, say cheese pose, you know. No, it was nothing like that at all. It was sort of because, you know, I like to take pictures. People who know me will know that very certainly. And also, you know, as I said, I like to fly. I love airplanes. And just as it, you know, I happened to have a camera in my pocket, okay? And just as it happened, you know, it was sort of a natural instinct for myself as well.
You also took the picture that's on the cover of the film. That's you.
I mean, yeah, I remember I was very hesitant to take that picture. You know, I was trying to run and take the picture. Actually, I'm actually surprised at how the picture came out because I didn't turn around to take the picture. I was holding the camera like this behind me and just taking random photos, you know. So I'm actually quite surprised on how well the photo came out.
The glory of digital cameras. When we take a quick commercial break here, you're watching Hour Town. We'll be right back to talk to Eddie and, of course, Mr. Kapadia as well about airline safety and take more of your calls. Don't go away. Welcome back to Hour Town on CP24. My name's Adam Vaughan. We're talking tonight with Eddie Ho, who is one of the passengers who obviously survived Air France Flight 358. We're also talking to aviation consultant Viraf Kapadia from Star Navigation. Lots of issues around safety that need to be discussed. One of them is that the runway isn't grooved, and if hydroplaning was a factor, perhaps the surface of the runways that Pearson need to be addressed. Are there other safety issues that are related to the layout of this airport that you think need to be talked about?
Yes, we had a similar accident about 20 years ago or so in the same Etobicoke ravine. And at that time and even now, pilots have been asking for this runway to be extended or give an overrun. That overrun would possibly give you a chance to actually land when there is an overshoot on the runway. What happens here is you can't have a barrier because you kill people if that happens. But if you have an overrun either side of it or cover up the creek with cement and they have a possibility of going over it, it's less...
the one thing I've also heard, though, and we've talked about the fact that the plane could have continued to skid and it might have skidded straight onto the 401, which would have been even more disastrous. So it's a tight... when you put airports in cities, you're really hemmed in, aren't you?
True. But at the same time, there should be a feasibility done, accountability report done, and I'm pretty sure if everything's worked out, they'll find space for the right extension on the runways.
Everyone who flies into Pearson is well aware of all the custom delays, of how long it takes to get from the terminal to the Highway 401. You got there pretty quickly yesterday. Not the way you wanted to.
No, well...
So we've talked about getting off the plane.
Right.
Now you're in the ravine. Let's sort of update it from there. How do you get to the 401 and then to the terminal?
So basically, I remember in a ravine, we had a passenger, a business class passenger who injured his right leg. And me and another gentleman were carrying him across, shoulder to shoulder, basically, with another lady passenger behind us, Joanna. She was also on City TV, carrying his bags with us. And basically, we were just crawling through the ravine in this rain. This is unbelievable rain. It was. You couldn't breathe in that rain. It felt like as if you're in a shower, or I don't know, even worse than a shower. Just water just.
You're from South Africa, so you probably had tropical rainstorms like that, where you just can't see across the street.
Exactly. And basically, halfway while we were there, I mean, we were walking through mud and whatnot, and halfway there, we we heard an explosion from behind us. Of course, I was thinking, oh my God, what if there's going to be people in that aircraft? But we just kept going, and I remember the man telling us, no, just leave me here, I can't walk anymore. And we said, no, we just got to go on. The bridge for the 401 was almost there. We can leave you, we'll be under the bridge where there's less water, all over the place, and when the ambulance can reach us much easier. And after that, we went up through the bridge. Between the bridge, there's a little bank, all right? And everyone just walked up through that bank and onto the 401, in between the 401 where all the traffic was, and people were the traffic was very slow. People were looking at us, people were looking at the smoke coming from the right. There was no emergency vehicles at that time when we got off.
Looking at a scene from yesterday, actually, as it
yeah,
happens now.
I think this is a bit later because, they've already closed the highways, but at that time...
Half an hour later.
Yeah, but at that time, there was cars, everywhere. There was only a couple of pickup trucks, emergency vehicles, but no ambulances, no buses, nothing at all. We had to wait in that rain for maybe, I would say, 20 minutes or so. Of course, some of the cars stopped. They opened us. They gave us umbrellas, etc. But there was too many passengers over there as well. And of course, the flight attendants was saying, "Get underneath the bridge, get underneath the bridge." But there were some passengers who started getting frustrated. Doesn't want to go back under the bridge anymore. A bit later on, we had a GO bus coming, and some passengers went onto the GO bus. And maybe about 10 minutes later, there was a airport authority bus that came, and then we went onto the airport authority bus. But
and that took you back to the terminal.
And that took us back to the terminal. But the thing that also frustrated passengers and also myself is when we went onto the bus driver didn't seem to be very aware of what was going on. He had the radio on with music, I think was very inappropriate at that time. He had the air conditioning on, and we told him to turn off the air conditioning because we were freezing in that weather. There were people injured, shock and everything, and we were in that bus, and that bus had no windows as well. So we were in that bus without air for maybe, I would say, at least 20 minutes. I can't really recall the time properly because I lost my watch also, but at least 20 minutes. And people in there, from there we made phone calls, etc., etc. And afterwards, the bus started moving. We went to the terminal, where the first thing that we had to do is clear through immigration, clear through customs. Okay, and again, many people were frustrated at that. I mean, how can we clear?
Give us a break.
Give us a break, yeah. I mean, but you know what? The immigration officers, they were so supportive. They were so friendly. They were They comforted you, gave you blankets, they gave you water, they gave you everything you needed.
So the immigration officers above and beyond the call of duty?
Definitely. I mean, they were probably... I've never seen immigration officers like that, to be quite honest with you.
No, it's not their reputation. It's not their job.
All right, so... But you see, the thing is, I never saw any Air France representatives at that airport until 9 or 10 o'clock when we moved to the Sheraton. In that airport, all that happened was we had the immigration officers clearing us to customs.
Did you get coffee or tea or anything to eat? Or
they gave us water, ice water at first. We weren't very keen on drinking the ice water. But later on, they moved us to another terminal. So they took us back onto the bus again. They moved us to another terminal. It's sort of like a waiting lounge. When you board the plane and waiting down, they sealed one of the waiting lounges. You could see the other passengers on the other side of the barricade, or whatever you want to call that. And at that place, you saw more passengers because I think they were putting everyone together. Right. They gave us more blankets at there. They also gave us sandwiches. They gave us coffee as well. There was even a pastor, a Catholic from the Catholic Church there. They were very supportive at that time, but they made us wait a long time in the lounge. In fact, what they made us do is they said, okay, we're going to announce everyone's name by alphabetical order. We're going to set up 2 tables for customs. Again, 2 tables for 300 and so passengers. And
there's always a lineup at customs.
And then
you can't avoid it.
And then we had to stamp our passports and declare our
If you had a
everything.
passport, 'cause a lot of people,
many people didn't have passports at that time. Also, at that place, we had to take photographs of each person. We had to hold up a name tag, saying what seat you were sitting in, your name. You had to hold up a sign saying, okay, and then they took a photo of you. Apparently, what I heard was that they were doing that just to check if there's terrorism involved or crime involved in that type of thing. And then, again, after we were cleared through that, we had to wait on the bus again. There was a lot of waiting. I mean, people were very frustrated. And I remember seeing this lady who could not speak English nor French. I think she was from Bulgaria or something like that. She couldn't communicate at all. And I remember when they were trying to take down where she's going to stay in Toronto or where she's taking her phone number, she just gave up because she was, I think she was also very traumatized at that time, Many people, I saw many people there who were there.
That's the chief criticism, it's the after you get to the airport.
Yeah.
And we have to take another commercial break. We have a lot of you waiting on the line to call in, so don't get frustrated. We'll try and get to your calls after the commercial break, right after this commercial break. Welcome back to Our Town. I'm Adam Vaughan. You're watching CP24. I'm here with Air France Flight 358 passenger and survivor Eddie Ho, as well as aviation consultant Viraf Kapadia of Star Navigation. We want to get to some of your calls. We have Kathy, who's been waiting patiently on the line. Kathy, you have a question for our panels tonight.
Yes. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kathy. You're on the air.
I just want to say, how much I'm grateful for all those people, that crew. But why is it there so many speculate, Because what I think they should all say, we all should say, thank God, because it's He who saved them, apart from other people. Because we had one in 78, you remember?
Yes, I
do. When all those was on board died. And these people are alive and well, so they have to be thankful.
I agree.
So I just want to say, give them my regard and how much I'm so grateful for everyone.
Thanks very much, Kathy.
Okay, have a good night.
Eddie, I'm struck by your sort of optimism is not quite the right word, but you're sort of there's a happiness about you. When you woke up this morning, did you just think, wow, I'm alive? Or is this just your natural disposition?
That too as well. I mean, but when I'm looking at the TV right now, and it's unreal. You don't feel like you went through that. You don't see the flames or the. I mean, just now I saw on CBC what the plane looked like right afterwards. I saw where I was sitting.
It was just a burnt-out carcass.
You don't feel it. I don't know. It's such a difficult experience.
When the images get repeated, and I've talked to people in New York about this and other major events, when the images are repeated, that's when it starts to sink in, my God, it could have been 5 minutes later, there I am.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been worse, put it that way. But definitely I'm very grateful to God,
Were the passengers, when they finally got corralled, was there a sense of joy amongst them, or is it still the shock predominating?
I would say, I don't know, probably mixed, Yeah. I spoke to some other passengers today, and they said that, some of them had champagne parties throughout the whole night last night. Yeah. For me, I just slept, that type of...
You called home?
Yes, and I called home.
Did your family know you'd been in a situation, or was your call the first
time? When I called the first time, I couldn't get to my uncle and my aunt, who are my relatives here. The phone line was congested or something like at that time.
I can imagine.
And then I called Ms. Coughlin, Mr. Lanza. They're my teachers, and I left them a message.
Everything's okay.
And then from there on, everything was fine.
You've been on the internet here tonight. We have a caller here, Suzanne. Do you recognize the name? She was sitting next to you on the plane last night. Suzanne, go ahead. Say hello to Eddie.
Oh, hi there. It's Suzanne. I was sitting beside you. You were sitting on the left side of me with another lady.
You remember her?
I don't know if you remember or not.
What do you think of what you've heard tonight, Suzanne?
Well, I didn't see the beginning of the show, but I would like to make a couple of comments because I was watching the news today, and they said that the plane was empty between 90 seconds and 2 minutes, and I don't think that was possible. Like, I was sitting in my seat at least for 3 or 4 minutes deciding what I should do, because the stewardess or the steward was saying, everybody stay in your seats because we're okay. So I don't know how can they empty the whole plane in 2 minutes.
Eddie talked about getting to the first door and finding no ramp to jump onto. Was that your experience as well?
Yes, the first door had absolutely nothing to slide out. They were telling people to jump down, and it's not that far. But to me, it looked pretty far down.
So how did you get out?
Sorry. And then, by that time, the passengers from the business class and the first class were empty, and somebody was yelling there to go to that door because nobody is there. So we were going to that door, and the chute was open, the right side of the door, but it was all twisted. And some of the guys were already done, tried to open it, but they couldn't. So we were kind of jumping, aiming to the part where it was open.
Scary, scary situation.
It was. It's just some of the news, what they were reported, like I didn't understand. Like apparently the ambulances and everything got there in 52 seconds. When I got off the plane, I never heard any sirens or seen anybody there.
So,
and we were just starting to walk through the bushes.
So did you walk to the 401 as well?
Yes.
And then you were did you go to the underpass like Eddie did?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we climbed up a hill or something, and we ended up upstairs.
It's an amazing.
Like on the 401.
It's an amazing story. As you watch Eddie tell it, what's the state of your emotions tonight?
Well, most of it, what he said, I agree with, and I didn't see the beginning, as I said. But like what was on the airport after they took us to the airport was totally frustrating. Totally frustrating. I don't know how many people took my name and phone number over and over and over. Mm-hmm. They never had a list or anything till they took us to another terminal upstairs. And I don't think the authorities were prepared for that at all.
That's interesting.
I mean, they were really nice, and they were asking if we were okay, if we needed anything. They took care of the injured right away. But other than that, in my opinion, it was total chaos.
One of the interesting things is because everyone has survived, the pilots and all of the black box and recording devices are intact, this is one of those incidents that can actually be learnt from the people who actually went through it, and I guess we're fortunate for that. And I guess the question then comes back to you, Eddie, I guess you'll be participating in whatever investigation you can. Mm-hmm. Your photographs will be valued for that as well.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, we've come to the end. And I want to thank you and say congratulations.
Thank you very much.
and Mr. Kapadia,
Thanks a lot.
Hope that some of your safety improvements as well.
Our safety will definitely make aircraft safer, and it is already making them. Plus, it's cheaper to run because of fleet management and cost savings. Star is going to be one of the companies which will promote safety, give out products which will save money, at the same time save lives and give you comfort to the passengers.
Well promoted.
Our website is
I'm going to send you a bill if you keep talking.
Yeah. Our website is www.star-navigation.com.
Okay, and this guy's a business student. Maybe you should hire him. There we go. We're right back after the commercial break to say goodbye. You're watching Our Town. Hey. On City Roots tonight, a look back at a story my father, Colin Vaughan, filed on the move to stop the privatization of Pearson Airport. In the dying days of the Mulroney government, there was a move afoot to sell the facility. Incoming Prime Minister Jean Chrétien grounded that idea.
The Cabinet will be discussing that today, and I hope that the final decision could be made by tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon or Saturday morning if you want to work on Saturday.
Tomorrow, tomorrow, and tomorrow. The airport not to be untangled? Whether to hand over Pearson International to be run by a consortium of Brian's old buddies plus a few Liberal sidekicks, or whether to allow a public, non-profit municipal airport authority to run things. In these days of business knows best, why a public authority?
I think we can run the terminal as effectively as private enterprise can, and we can plow that money back into the terminal to develop it further. In addition to that, the local airport authority, that one of the jobs it has is to try to integrate the various airports in the region and to use this integrated airport system to help develop the economy of the whole region. And the airport out here is going to be one of the biggest operations of any kind in the whole Greater Toronto area in the next 10 years. And I think it's important that that be used to develop the region.
The hottest rumor out of Ottawa tonight? That the government will form a public authority that will then hire the private consortium for the construction update of Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. The best of both worlds. And that avoids a heavy damages claim by the already contracted consortium.
Whatever. We should know tomorrow. Colin Vaughan, checking in at the airport. City Pulse.
Now, it shouldn't surprise us, but it always seems to. When disaster takes hold, true human nature comes to the fore. I saw it in New York in the days following September 11th, and we all saw it in our own city in the hours following the Air France crash. Faced with the horrifying possibility of death, it's not the fittest who survive. The strong don't trample the weak. A different impulse takes over. People cooperate. The old are helped by the young, the slow by the swift, and the injured by the fortunate. Even complete strangers, flagged down by those in need on the 401, stop to help. In a world where the me-first philosophy is said to prevail, it's nice to see that other values survive. It's even nicer when those values help other people survive. Thanks for watching Our Town. We'll be back next week.